All right, this is the Village of Peotone Board meeting for September 9, 2013. Please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance with us, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Yeah. Court, you caught in the court. Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Reichert.
Here.
Mr. Hupkey.
Here.
Mr. Wicker.
Here.
Mr. Hack. Mr. Callahan.
Here.
Mr. Forsythe.
Here. Okay, let the record show that we do have a quorum present and may conduct official business. First order of business being the approval or correction of the minutes from the August 26, 2013 regular village board meeting. Trustees, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented, or if you see reason to correct them, please let us know what that might be.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Motion by trustee Hupkey to approve the minutes as submitted. Seconded by trustee Forsythe. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Forsythe.
Yes.
Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Mr. Wicker.
Yes.
Mr. Reichert.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Minutes are approved and become the official record of the organization. The next item has to do with accounts payable and payroll. You will find in your packet, trustees, the payroll for the pay period ending August 31st of 2013 in the amount of $49,758.74. You will also find bills from the general fund totaling $45,333.12, and from the water and sewer fund, bills totaling $35,156.53. Total for those two categories of general fund and water sewer fund is $80,489.65. We also have bills from the police pension fund totaling $9,497.95. Total for of all the bills in your packet is $89,987.60. Do I have a motion to pay the bills?
I make a motion, we pay the bills.
Motion by trustee Wicker.
Second.
Pay the bills, seconded by trustee Reichert. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Wicker.
Yes.
Mr. Reichert.
Yes.
Mr. Forsythe.
Yes.
Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries, and bills paid as noted. We come to the point on the agenda for public comment and or questions about any non-agenda items. So if you're on the agenda later, that's when we'll talk about it. Got something?
I just wanted to invite you all to the open house at the library on September 21st. It's from noon to 2 o'clock. You get to meet the new library director. And you also, we also have a new children.
She's a very nice person, I understand.
That's what I've been told. We have an early learners area we're going to be opening up. We got a grant from Target for, so you'd be the first to come and see that also. And there'll be other things going on. Thank
Terrific.
you.
And that's from noon?
Noon to 2 o'clock on the 21st of Saturday. Thank you.
All right, moving on down the agenda, reports, police chief report.
I just want to go on record that I am here tonight. Because I was getting ridiculed by certain other members that work for the village. It's between bomb threats, train accidents, school heat waves, the fair. August went quick.
But a quiet month.
I was gonna say, I can't say, we were twiddling our thumbs.
Yeah. All right. Anybody have any questions of the chief? Hearing none, we'll move on. Engineers report. Van, do we have any?
I don't have anything to match that. I haven't had any bomb threats.
We're going to do sidewalk later.
Yeah, we'll do that later. I just wanted to, just to bring everybody up to date. The work has begun on our road project. If you haven't noticed, they've been doing some of the curb work. So things are moving along. That's all I have on that.
All right. We have nothing under old business, so we move on to new business. First item having to do with a request to declare trees a nuisance. George, do you want to say anything about that, or?
Mrs. Swidergail is here.
Okay.
To address the board.
George, where do I need to start? Do they
Might as
know
well start from the
anything?
beginning if you want. What-
Okay. I live next door to a property with 2 trees that Mr. Blogg looked at, told me are dangerous. I've spoken to the homeowner. I've sent her a registered letter. We're friends. She tells me she cannot afford to take these trees down. I cannot afford to take her trees down. And I'm coming to the board because I think the trees are a dangerous nuisance. I don't think it's a matter of if they're going to fall, they're going to fall. And they're going to fall in my garage and in my backyard and her house with 2 infants in it. And I'm asking the board, what kind of help can I get?
Part of, I think, we've been investigating what we could do on this, and the reality of it is that the trees are on private property in the backyard and not close to any public right-of-way or sidewalk or anything of that nature. And due to that, it tends to become a problem between the property owners as opposed to a village problem. The question I think we have to address as a board is, if we are to take any action on this, we would be setting a precedent for going on private property when the public safety, and I emphasize public safety, is not directly involved. And it would likely lead to lots of folks coming to us to have us take care of their trees in their backyard. And there's a concern there. But the board, I think, has some additional information and can go wherever it wants on this, but I'll hear any discussion.
I'm inclined to think that, and I had to think long and hard about it. I mean, I have certain reservations about ever going onto someone's private property to compel them to do anything. But after thinking long and hard about it, I think that I can understand a tree being deemed a nuisance. And the reason that I've come to that conclusion is it may not be an immediate threat like a bonfire would be with embers blowing through the air, or even something similar to, you know, for example, if the neighbor had a spotlight on their roof shining directly into their neighbor's windows or speakers or something of that sort, creating a disruption, even though it's among 2 private property owners. I think that if there's potential for one party to cause harm to another, and that other is a member of our village, a citizen of our village, the trees could go any direction. It could fall on Miss Swidergail's property, it could fall backwards on someone else's. We really don't know. And I don't think that it has to fall on the public right-of-way for it to be a public nuisance. I think that it could, in fact, affect the public in that it could harm one of our residents. And
It also borders the elementary school, depending upon the wind direction.
while I appreciate that people have certain private property rights and we as a board have to consider budgets and things of that nature, a tree is a long-term potential nuisance and not an immediate nuisance like a fire would be. But I think that at the end of the day, if it's a threat to somebody else, if we have a particular piece of property where there's activity or omissions, including failure to trim trees, which may in fact economically or physically harm someone else on a different property, we need to consider that that's a nuisance. And I'm not, at this point, without more information, inclined to say that these trees are in fact a nuisance right now. but I think that it's certainly possible that a tree could become a nuisance, and that's just my opinion.
Other trustees?
Do we have a report from Mr. Blogg besides the cost?
I mean, he agrees that they're dead. It has been past board policy that trees were not included in the definition of a nuisance. And the ash borer policy that we adopted a year or two ago specifically says that we will not take down ash borer trees or trees EAB, infected ash borer trees on private property. We have some questions about insurance liability going on private property. Our insurance carrier says that right now it will probably not be covered because it's not part of our policy.
That's huge.
And quite frankly, I don't know where, if this were an isolated instance, that may be up for board consideration. Obviously it is. But there are a lot of dead trees in the village. And all it takes is a neighbor saying, that tree's dead, it's a nuisance, the village should cut it down. And at $2 to $4 grand a pop sometimes, and that's depending upon where it's at and how many garages you have to get around and swimming pools and everything else. This could be an extremely expensive proposition to the village, and we would not, it's one thing to say, tell the property owner to pay. If the property owner doesn't pay, then you file a lien, and you get your money anywhere from 6 months to 20 years.
If you were to do something, you gotta lien something. This is an economic issue.
I mean, the problem is, there's no guarantee you're gonna get that money for 6 months to 20 years down the road.
Or 30
In the
years,
meantime, we're carrying a free, basically what we've done is cut them down for free for that property owner.
Plus, the insurance thing is huge, too.
Because, I mean, you've got to look at what else it does in the village.
Out of curiosity, just for village council here, would such a lien be priority lien in advance of mortgages?
It's not.
It would not be?
There's no mortgage on the property.
Well, right, but I'm from a general perspective. It would.
There's a few liens that are like a demolition
Right.
lien, but this type of lien is not going to have priority over a mortgage that we did.
Other comments?
I know that in my backyard, we have with my neighbor. I know if it falls, it won't hit the house, but it's gonna wipe the neighbor's fence, possibly his garage. It may wipe it out. This reminds me of a four-way, a stop where people always say with IDOT, let's put a stop and go light here. They don't do it until someone's killed. Well, then they think about it. And I can understand her position 100%. I don't want anyone hurt or killed. But I think we should look at this and, is there any way we can trim the trees? That's, I don't know. I just don't know. I didn't mean to make that funny, but.
No, it's kind of tree, we understand the trees are dead. So
Well,
it's kind of fun.
I meant to say trim the branches, cut the branches.
Oh, back so they're not hanging over.
But I don't want anyone hurt. And this could, how big are the trees?
They're massive. They're 55 years old. They're locust trees. If I'm in the garage running my generator during a storm, and one of those dead branches falls through my garage, yeah, I could easily be killed. I've already had 7 branches from this tree through my garage roof. And I took care of it. I can't take care of it anymore. I can't take care of my neighbor's problems anymore.
Is this an avenue that you can bring through your homeowner's insurance, to have one insurance company talk to the other, or, I mean, I'm not sure how that pans out, but I mean, if you already have 7 cases of damage from this tree, I mean, isn't that more that type of claim?
That's in the past. That's over and done with. I want to avoid it from happening again, and I don't want to wake up every morning and look out my window to see if overnight was.
Mr. Blogg has said that they're dead. So-
Well, I
Close to it, yeah.
reread the nuisance ordinance, and I want to know how trees are excluded from this. They're dead. They're dangerous. The ordinance says it is the duty of whatever Tom's title is, I question his title, to abate the nuisance. And honestly, when a storm comes in, I don't sleep. I am fearful. There's another person living in my house, and there are times she doesn't even want to put a car in the garage. She'd rather leave it out in front during the storm. That's crazy. That's a crazy way to live. And I'm just looking for some help. I mean, we haven't, to the best of my knowledge, the homeowner hasn't even been ticketed. The only notice she's received is from me. Maybe that's the next step. I'm looking for your help.
Well, and that was part of our prior conversations, Sweater Gal, was in the past, I mean, the village board has the authority, as defined under the Illinois State Code, to describe what is a nuisance. And the past policy has been, trees on private property are a private matter and are not a public nuisance. And that's been my understanding since before I got here.
It's not written down.
Well,
It's not in the code.
Then once a decision is made, a clarification can be made in the ordinance. I'm just simply saying that was the operational policy. Okay, and the village board does have the authority, it's my understanding under state code, to call trees a nuisance, but they also, it's their call. They also have the authority to say, for whatever reasons, whether it's potentially financial or whatever, that's a matter of, they're private trees, they're not on a public parkway. They have the ability to say those are not nuisances. And that's kind of why we're here this evening, is it's their call. And, if the ordinance needs to be cleaned up to make it specific one way or the other, that could happen. But we're working under the existing policy at this point in time, and that's why you're here, is to make that request.
I recognize that there might be a substantial economic burden, but I don't think that alone justifies avoiding the issue. And I believe that if there is an obstacle or an action which creates a threat of danger to anyone off premises, it's our, I don't want to use the word duty, we don't have the duty, but I believe that we should assist. I think that's government's role.
Does anybody on any of the trustees wish to propose an action?
George, as far as Tom is concerned, I mean, we know the trees are dead. Has he given any insight on their stability or their likelihood that they'll fall anytime soon?
And I don't think anybody can.
It's just not something.
They could stand up there another 10 years. They could fall over the next windstorm. There's too much that goes on in the interior of a tree to be able to know that.
You're saying that the owners of this property can't afford to have these taken down?
That's what they're telling me. I mean, I obviously don't know their finances, but that's what I'm doing. George, don't you have pictures? Do you have those?
They've
Yeah,
got
we do.
copies of
Oh,
them.
thank you.
They're included
I
in the
understand the
package.
seriousness of the situation. I'm afraid there were, 2,000, 4,000.
I mean, I have a
Next
tree
year
that's
it's-
in my backyard it's right at the fence, and I have an in-ground pool, and it's dead. It's been dead for the last 3 years, and it comes down, it's gonna wreck. It's gonna pull,
Don't
but,
you think you should take that tree down?
well, no, it's not my tree.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's on a neighboring
I
property.
thought you said it was in your yard.
No.
It's gonna come into my yard because the way
A similar
slanted.
situation is what it's alluding to.
So, I mean, I understand, it may not be severe insurance, but I do understand, but I don't think, I don't think the village can be in the business of paying other people's bills. I mean, and who's to say that they can't afford it? Are they just trying to?
Again,
But you gotta cite it.
there's remedies to begin with.
You gotta cite it.
So we have to start
You gotta let
somewhere.
these people tell us why they can't remove the tree. If it's an unsafe condition and our code officer or somebody deems it's unsafe, we first gotta notify these people and give them an opportunity. I mean, we're talking to her, we're not talking to the owner.
Well, once we provide notification, then we have some obligation to continue to proceed on with it.
I don't think we necessarily do, though. I mean, we don't have an affirmative duty to act on any of our ordinances. We can choose to act when we choose to act. I don't believe that we're required to act under any circumstances.
So we can issue a citation and not proceed, and then the neighbors say, well, you cut him a citation, why aren't you doing anything about it?
I don't believe that we as a village can become liable, but I mean, I think that that's more appropriate for the attorney, but I don't believe that failure to act on our part creates a liability for someone else's condition.
Okay.
Any thoughts?
I mean, a lot of this comes down to, you define public nuisance, and, I think what you're talking about is, are we going to define public to be narrow and pretty much the neighbors, or is it going to be broader? This is not a typical situation that a municipality would get involved in. In terms of the citation, I mean, I think there is something to what George says when you start down the road of saying to somebody, this is a dangerous condition that has to be remedied. Could you be held liable? I don't think necessarily, but you are creating an expectation that there's going to be some follow-through from the village if they don't respond, I guess. I'd have to look further at the specifics of what the liability issue, but I think by issuing a citation, you're saying this is a violation.
It's an acknowledgement, certainly.
Yeah. And when you become aware of when you make that acknowledgement, I think there is some potential risk.
I make a motion that we table this until the next meeting so that we can do more investigation into this and
You're welcome to
check
look
into
at the
this.
trees, that would be a good idea.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion by trustee Hupkey, seconded by trustee Callahan, that we table any action on this until the next meeting.
So more can be.
Some more information can be determined.
Can I ask, sorry not to interrupt your motion, can we get some kind of direction from other towns, maybe, to see
That's what I was going to do.
Okay,
what their policies are? Thank you.
all right. So a motion on the floor to table this. Would you, clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Mr. Forsythe.
Yes.
Mr. Reichert.
Yes.
And Mr. Wicker.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries. Item tabled until the next meeting pending further investigation. Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda, a resolution for a fence variance. A lot of papers. Here we go. It's got a picture, it's easy to find.
Mr. Scott Lorenz, 1001 Mallard Lane, has applied for a fence variance to install a 6-foot PVC privacy fence along his rear lot line. Mr. Lorenz's property with his rear yard abutting Wilmington Road. He has a berm along the rear property line and until recently had a row of evergreen trees that acted as a screen. The evergreens died and were removed. The fence is requested to replace the tree screen. According to the application, the privacy fence will only be along the rear lot line.
Okay. Trustees, if you've driven along Peotone Wilmington Road, Pascal Landings, you've noticed the big vacancy there where a lot of trees have been cut down. This is that property. And it would seem to fit with the others along there who have been installing fences as some of the trees have died out. It would fit with past practice on this. So, any questions?
I'll go ahead with the motion.
Okay. Motion by trustee Forsythe to approve the fence variance at 1001 Mallard Lane.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Hupkey. Any further discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Reichert?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Wicker?
Yes. This has a resolution on it? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see it as a resolution. I know that, but I didn't look at the sheet. It says resolution. Okay, this will be resolution 13-R10. Okay, and you just did the roll call on it. It carried, so therefore, yeah, it's my mistake. Resolution 13-R10 concerning fence variance at 1001 Mallard Lane is hereby approved. Next item on the agenda has to do with the awarding the bids for the sidewalk program.
The village received 4 bids for the 2013 sidewalk program. The low bidder is J.J. Newell at $40,133.60. The engineer's estimate for the work was $50,764. The village budgeted $50,000 for the project. J.J. Newell has done work for us in the past. They've done excellent work. We have a recommendation from both the village engineer and from staff to award to J.J. Newell for the unit prices quoted not to exceed $50,000 and probably get a little bit more work done.
In other words, if Tom has some other things, other sidewalks on his list, we can potentially add that to it, up to that amount, and just move the program a little bit faster. Okay? What I need now is, unless there are any questions, a motion to award the 2013 sidewalk bid to J&J Newell at the unit prices quoted, not to exceed $50,000.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Wicker, seconded by trustee Forsythe, to approve the awarding of the 2013 sidewalk bid as noted. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Wicker?
Yes.
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Reichert?
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries and the bid is hereby awarded. Next item has to do with the billing clerk pay raise.
The board recently hired Mrs. Stacy Hartwell as billing clerk, assistant to the zoning administrator. Mrs. Hartwell has successfully completed her probationary period. It is past practice to adjust the employee's pay rate following successful completion of the probationary period. I would ask that Mrs. Hartwell's base pay rate be adjusted from $12 per hour to $14 per hour, effective September 1st, 2013. Should be this pay cycle. This rate is in line with past practice and is included in the budget.
The trustees, most of you have wandered in and out since Stacy's been working for us. She's been doing a very good job. She catches on very quickly to a lot of things. And with the donation that we got last month of the new desk up front, she's done a little house cleaning up there and reorganizing. So, I'm going to ask for a motion to establish the base pay rate for billing clerk at $14 per hour, effective September 1st, 2013. It's putting a comma in there instead of a decimal point. Is there a motion to that effect?
Second.
Motion by trustee Wicker, seconded by trustee Forsythe, to establish the base pay rate for the billing clerk at $14 an hour, effective September 1st, 2013. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Wicker?
Yes.
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Reichert?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries, and therefore the pay rate has been approved. Moving down on the agenda, we will talk to the press afterwards, and correspondence, communications, petitions. I have one comment. I was, as most of you know, we've got 2 state representatives that represent the village. With Harlem Avenue, Governor's Highway, being the dividing line between the two districts. East of there, State Representative L.G. Sims represents us, and he also represents Beecher and a lot of other territory going up towards the city of Chicago. And State Representative Sims has asked if he could have hours here occasionally, so that if people in the village, and it doesn't matter where you live in the village, if you have a question, even if you're on this side of Harlem Avenue, you can come in and talk to him. But he's asked for like a coffee. Come on in, talk if you have something to talk or ask him about. And we've tentatively set the date of Saturday, October 12th, from 10 o'clock till noon, right here in the Village Hall. So anybody who might want to come and talk to him, become more familiar with him. The more I have dealt with him, the happier I am to see someone who does not live in the area wanting to become familiar with the issues that we face and being, if nothing else, sympathetic to our concerns and willing to work for us. So I note that Saturday, October 12th, from 10 o'clock to noon, here in the boardroom, State Representative L.G. Sims will hold a brief coffee and talk to anybody who wants to talk to him. Trustees have any other comments or issues? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the September 9th, 2013 Village of Peotone Board meeting.
Motion. Second.
Motion by trustee Hupkey, second by trustee Forsythe, to adjourn the September 9th, 2013 Village of Peotone Board meeting. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Forsythe.
Yes.
Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Mr. Wicker.
Yes.
Mr. Ritter.
Okay, motion carries and we are officially adjourned.